And here's our Grand Officers Club. Not very classy, but they serve booze here at a very low price. It was just a bar and a couple tables and no music. This little mailroom is our base post office, which I visited every day. We couldn't make personal phone calls back then, so letters had a special meaning. Here's just a few of the many temporary buildings that were on the base. Some were for record keeping, some for parachute packing, others for equipment issue, and so on. A view of the flight line. Because of night flying, most of our planes are painted black. Those that are not just haven't yet made it to the paint shop. The ordnance crews had a full day loading the airplanes for the night missions. The following couple slides show some of the work they're doing. Here are the ordnance guys loading the top turret. There are many guns on this airplane, and each one of them gets a 300-round supply. This is a view of the nose guns with the access doors open. Somehow the ordnance guys have to stuff 2,400 rounds of ammo in here. The loading goes on in hot weather, and it continues right on in the cold weather. Now these are little 20-pound fragmentation bombs. They're ganged in clusters of 6 and dropped in 6, and as they leave the airplane, they break up and spread out. The idea is anti-personnel. Here's a close-up view of fragmentation bombs. These rings were very brittle and would break into many pieces when the bomb exploded. On a fragmentation bomb, there was only about 20% of the weight was explosive, as compared to 80% of the weight on a general purpose bomb. Notice on these bombs that the fuses have not yet been inserted. This is a general purpose bomb, and it has the fuse inserted. Now this is a demo, as fuses are not normally inserted until the bombs are loaded. To make the fuse safe, there was a wire attached to the bomb rack inserted through the prop to prevent spinning. When the bomb was released, the wire would pull free, allow the propeller would spin a set number of turns, and then arm the bomb. In case of an unforeseen circumstance, there was also a salvo feature in the system that allowed the bomb to be dropped together with the wire and therefore not explode upon impact. Inserting the fuses. Well, this picture is a publicity shot because normally the ordnance guys would use elevated carts to do the job. We sometimes use proximity fuses when the purpose was to detonate the bomb above the surface, such as in firebombs. Proximity fuses were very scary, and they weren't set until the plane was at a special ramp near the takeoff runway. The fear, of course, was that of taking out the whole flight line if one of them went off. Our stash of bombs. We always had plenty. Unfortunately, not all our losses were from combat. In one case where a small frag bomb exploded during loading, and the shrapnel from it pierced a fuel tank and set it on fire. It really got going wild, and it killed one person and destroyed 3 other airplanes. Here's another view of the flight line accident. This is a monster 70 million candle power light installed on a couple of airplanes. It got very hot and was limited to be on for only a minute, and then it had to rest for another 5 minutes before you could turn it on again. It was controlled by a person in the right seat with a joystick. It only had a limited amount of travel, and I never flew a plane so equipped, but reports were that the slightest haze or smoke illuminated the air so brightly that it actually worsened visibility. It was useful only in the clearest nights, and then crews were reluctant to turn it on for fear that it would attract ground fire. We're looking forward in the bomb bay. In the center, held in place with straps, is a 125-gallon gas tank. Shown in the red circle is an electric flap motor located just after the tank. We were cautioned that this tank should not be filled with more than 100 gallons because acceleration or a nose-high attitude may cause the gas to spill over and possibly ignite from actuating the flaps. But the norm in military airplanes is always to fill the tanks to the top, and I fear there's always a possibility that a fueler may forget this restriction. Sighting in the guns. Actually, we didn't do this, the ordnance guys did. Now, it's unusual even in the wintertime for snow to fall on Kunsan this far south, but we did get a storm, and it didn't last very long. And it looks like the storm is over. Now, it got cold in the winter, but in the B-26 we were warm as toast. We wore an electric vest that plugged into electric gloves at the sleeves, that plugged into electric pants, that plugged into electric booties. The whole thing plugged into an outlet at the crew station. And now to continue, please go to part 4.